So we're into Pesukei D'Zimra now. We've moved, we're flying. In fact, our sages teach us, when you say the first bracha of Pesukei D'Zimra, you should hold your two front tzitzit in your hand. Hold them because a few reasons. Number one, because you're lifting yourself up. Remember, we started with physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. That's our path. So we started with the physical, washing our hands, opening our eyes, all of that stuff. And now we're moving into the emotional. So the physical is represented by the lower part of your body. So you're lifting up your two front tzitzit to say, I'm now lifting up into my heart area, into the more emotional area. And also we know that tzitzit has 5 knots and 8 strings. Each of your tzitzit, 5 knots, 8 strings, which is 13. So if you get your two front tzitzit, then you have 26, which is Hashem's name. So we got all cool things happening. But basically, Pesukei D'Zimra starts with Baruch She'amar, which is a bracha. And it finishes with Yishtabach, which is a bracha. And in between, we have all these amazing praises of Hashem. So, Baruch She'amar, if you want to bring your siddur to these classes every morning, I think that might be good. Especially if you have your own siddur, you can write little notes in it, but it's cool. Baruch She'amar v'ha'olam. Blessed is the one who spoke and the world came into being. That's cool. And then it just says, Baruch, 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 Baruch. Many Baruchs going on. So we already spoke about what the word Baruch means. The word Baruch is translated as blessed, but blessed is meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. So the 3 main meanings of the word Baruch. Number 1 meaning of the word Baruch means source. S-O-U-R-C-E. You are the source of everything. Everything comes from you. Baruch atah Hashem means Hashem, everything comes from you. The modern Hebrew word for a swimming pool is bricha. Same shoresh, same root. So everything you ever see, ever in your whole life, originated in Hashem. This shtender is made of wood. Wood comes from trees. Trees come from the earth comes from Hashem. Glass comes from sand, comes from Hashem. Wool comes from sheep, comes from Hashem. Everything you ever see, ever, you can trace it back to Hashem. So Baruch means Hashem, you're the source of everything. Now we are starting Baruch She'amar v'ha'olam by saying, blessed is the one. Blessed is the one who spoke and the world came into being. And there are really 10 Baruchs here representing the 10 things that God said when He said, and let there be. The world was created with these 10 sayings. And we also did mention briefly that you have 3 expressions: thought, speech, and action. Thought is internal, action is external. Speech is bringing the internal into the external. I can tell you what I'm thinking, I can tell you what I'm feeling, I can tell you my dreams. So when it says God spoke and the world came into being, it doesn't necessarily mean that there was a loud voice saying, let there be light. It means that Hashem took his desire to create and brought it into reality, manifested it. That's what speech really is doing. So you've got to understand the way you speak also creates your world. How you speak to other people, that's going to create your relationships. How you speak to yourself in your head, that's going to create your sense of self. So speech is very, very important. The second meaning of Baruch means to increase. Rashi says this, and Nefesh HaChaim says this, it means to increase. So to bless something means to increase it. I'm increasing the abundance. So if I bless you with health, or I bless you with parnasa, with money, I'm saying we're increasing that. So what does it mean, Baruch atah, blessing Hashem? It means that by blessing Hashem, I'm increasing God consciousness in the world. There's more godliness in the world when I say brachas. The Rashba actually says an amazing thing. I'd like to test this. But he says the blessing actually helps the harvest. If you don't bless the apples, then you'll get a less harvest next year. And by blessing it, you actually bring more.
The Marsha also says this.
Where? So it's an idea that it blesses. The third meaning of Baruch, the word for knee in Hebrew is berech. So it's the same root. So it really means to bring down, to draw down, to kneel down. So when you say Baruch, you could either feel like you are subjugating yourself, but I think in a deeper way it means you're bringing Hashem down to your present place, time. because often we feel that Hashem is kind of very far away. Avinu Shebashamayim, our Father in heaven. So we speak to Hashem, but do you feel that Hashem is palpably present, sitting on your lap right now, in front of you? So most people don't actually feel that. Most of you think that I'm actually closer to you than Hashem is, physically, but it's not true. Hashem's there. Actually, Hashem's in every cell of your body, is animating everything. So when we say Baruch, what you're meant to do in your consciousness is to be bringing down Hashem, so you feel that Hashem is literally mamish in front of your face right now. And then when you're saying a bracha, you can now say the word Atah in a conscious way, because it's like Baruch Atah. Now I really feel that you're there in front of me, so I can say Atah. Did you have a question?
Yes, I have a question about this thing of participating to the increase of the presence of Hashem in the world. Does this mitzvah, for example, if we do it in a place where there is no presence of Judaism at all, what the Chabad do, like in India, or this mitzvah is even more stronger when Hashem is not present at all in those places geographically?
To bring, well, Hashem is present, but recognition of Hashem is not present. It's amazing to bring that, but Chabad is really there to help the Jewish travelers. Chabad aren't there to help the local people, although they do often actually when there are like tragedies, and they'll get in there. But yes, the biggest mitzvah is Kiddush Hashem, is to sanctify God's name. To behave. If you're going to dress like a religious Jew, you need to be behaving in order to show and bring Hashem into the world. So sometimes, actually often, if you're in a yeshiva, then you can't really be a Kiddush Hashem, because we're just all doing it. But if you're in the workplace, if you're in Paris, and you're in your office, and there are not Jews there, and there are non-religious Jews there, but you're behaving in a good way, and you're being honest in business, and you're kind and loving, then that's really bringing God consciousness into the world. It's the main thing. That's also why I don't think we should be embarrassed to say brachas out loud in the airport. I walked around Addis Ababa airport with my talis and tefillin, because it was Christmas Day, and there were lots of like Haredi Muslims walking around, like very frum Muslims, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to daven now, and I davened, and then I was like, I'm just going to walk around a bit with my talis and to bring a bit of God consciousness into the world. Yeah.
Hashem is like, as you explained, sort of the energy that's like within every single atom, electron, cell in the body throughout the universe. How can you really say Atah? Like, how can you? Atah implies it's something separate to me, right?
Well, Hashem.
How can you conceptually remove it?
Because Hashem isn't only inside of every cell of your body, Hashem is completely beyond time and space as well. So it's true that Hashem isn't a being like separate from you, but the way we can have a relationship, you can't have a relationship with an infinite consciousness beyond time and space. That's why we say things, for example, Hashem is Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. Not really. It's bringing him into our consciousness in a way that we can relate to. But we do believe that you aren't Hashem. You can't be Hashem, because I am, basically. But you aren't Hashem, so Hashem is, yes, within every cell of your body and your neshama, but there isn't, the large majority of what Hashem is not you, so you can say Atah, because there's a presence. Hashem is the creator. You can say Atah in the sense of Hashem being the creator, and being a father and a king and a Baruch She'amar. So we say, I'm recognizing and I'm bringing consciousness to the fact that Hashem created the world. Blessed be Baruch Oiseh V'Reshit. You say you made creation Baruch Oimeh V'Oiseh. I also think our sages tell us we have to, as much as we can, emulate Hashem. You have to become godly. That's your role in this world. Become as godly as you can. So if it says things like Baruch Oimeh V'Oiseh, blessed is he who speaks and does, it's saying Hashem keeps his word. If he says he's going to do it, he's going to do it. So you have to be that. I want to be someone who people can rely on. If I say I'm going to be there at 10 o'clock, I'm going to be there at 10 o'clock. Baruch Gaizer Kayem, he decrees and he fulfills. This is also very important to understand that there's justice in the world. Now it's very, very, very difficult. One of the major questions when you're first really coming to Judaism, and in general, is how is it that good people suffer and bad people seem to prosper in this world? You see it all the time. In fact, there seems to be no justice in this world. So you can start questioning if God exists, if God is just. But we can prove, we know with evidence that God does exist and God is just. So if we don't see justice in the world, we have to assume that it is going to be done, world to come, bigger reality. So he makes the rules and there's justice in the world. It's very important to understand this. Because many, many people are suffering. I'm speaking to someone at the moment who's got very badly bullied when he was a kid. And that's awful. It's awful. Bullying is awful. And he just can't get over the fact that they're not being punished. He just can't get over it. And he's like, and they're doing really well now, and one of them's engaged now, and they're very popular now, and like, it's just not fair. And it's eating away at him. So we've had a whole philosophical discussion, not that heals trauma, obviously you have to heal your trauma, but justice, for a person like that, you have to at some point say, I know justice will be done, not hope for it. You shouldn't be walking around thinking, okay, they're going to burn in hell. Even though that might make you feel better for a bit. It's not really that. It's not the ultimate way, but to understand, look, we don't get it, justice will be done. Baruch Merachem al haaretz. Blessed is the one who has mercy on the earth. That means you have to as well. You have to take care of the world. Don't just walk past big leaves off trees, and you have mercy on the. You got to take care of the world. Baruch Merachem al habrios. He has mercy on the creatures, on everyone. Basically, you have to become the most kind, sweet, compassionate, loving person you become. But we're recognizing that these are the essential qualities of what God is, and you have to develop them. Remember, we said Tefillah at the beginning comes from the word lehitpalel is actually reflexive. Something you're doing to yourself. So when you're saying these ideas, you're saying to yourself, hold on, this is who I need to be. I need to come. So when we say Baruch She'amar v'haya olam, He spoke and He created the world, to understand I'm creating the world around me. I'm going to be kind and merciful.
Nachim was wondering, let's say the world was created for man. I think
let's say the world was created for man. I'm good with that. Yeah, I like that.
The Rachem al haaretz and Rachem al habrios, the innate quality of being Rachem al
That just because the universe and everything in it was created for man doesn't mean that we can use and abuse it.
No, I'm saying with regards to God. I'm saying he has compassion on the earth. I'm saying what's the
Merachem al haaretz. Good question. I'll think about it. What does it mean that God has mercy on the earth?
Well, we're made out of earth.
He has mercy on the earth. Like, we clearly don't have mercy on the earth. We're messing it up. We're putting plastic in the oceans. And we're messing up there.
Many of us have mercy on the earth.
Yes, I know. Good. Not everyone, but I'm saying humans in general. We've just seen in general, nothing on the planet takes more than it needs, apart from cancer and humans. And both of them destroy the organism that they're living on. But trees don't drink more water than they need, and lions don't eat more than they need. They don't eat and they're full and they just say, you know what, it would just be go fun and kill another deer and just get stuffed. So humans are very, very destructive of the earth. What does it mean that Hashem has mercy on the earth? Good question. I'll look into it. Yeah?
Well, maybe could you say it's like he has mercy in the sense that he doesn't judge, like it's not human the actions that they do, so not mercy in the sense that he's like kind to the earth. He just doesn't judge animals separately. He doesn't.
Well, but they don't have free will, so there's no judgment. But that's the briot. He has mercy on the earth and mercy on the creatures. So that's covered by the second one. What does it mean? Everyone, find this out. Don't rest until you get a good answer to this question. Yeah.
Could it be that the higher intelligence a being has, apart from God, the less mercy they have? Because if you look at killer whales or higher mammals, they tend to have, like killer whales, for instance, they play with their food and they kill more penguins than they need to. Gorillas kill sometimes as well, or territory. So
Goodness.
higher intelligence matters seem to go further away from just doing what you need.
Good, but that would still be covered by Briot. Briot, not earth. Hashem has mercy on the earth. What does it mean to have mercy on the earth? Fine, I like it. It's good to have a question. Yeah?
Is it like rainbows? He like shows a rainbow, then he doesn't flood the earth again.
But that's mercy on us, not the earth. What does it mean? Yeah?
Kind of going back to what you said about like, how like, for example, you said like mirrors come from sand, which comes from the earth, and how Hashem is like, you know, through all those things. Like, what is your opinion, like, what is the Torah's opinion on like lab grown? You know, everything's becoming more like artificial, like lab grown, like things, material.
We have some things you're not allowed to mix species and play around with the creation. Like that.
Like, what about like lab grown meat?
I don't know, apparently lab-grown meat won't be fleshig, so you can have cheeseburgers. Yeah. I think that's the thing.
Like, would you be able to like make a blessing on it? Because it's like, it's not.
If you get pleasure from it, you make a blessing on it. I don't know, I'm not. All right, Baruch Podeo Matzil, he saves us. Not only basically from our own traumas and stuff going on. Baruch She'amar. I just wanted to point out something that I found very amazing. We'll just carry on. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam hakel ha'avarachaman u'mehulel b'fei amo. So Hashem, who's merciful and is praised in all. Basically, the whole of Pesukei D'Zimra is all about praising Hashem and getting into this state of like Hashem and life and the world and everything is unbelievable. We're just having a little bit of wonder. Most people no wonder. They're just heads down trying to achieve stuff. Just to look up for a second and look around you and say the world's an amazing, incredible place. Mushubach u'mfa b'lashon, chasidav u'va'avadav, he's praised. Pshei David Avdachan. Fine. Now watch what happens if anyone has a siddur. We've basically been speaking, have we been speaking to Hashem or about Hashem? Baruch She'amar v'haya olam baruch hu. Baruch Hashem Bereshit. We haven't been speaking to Hashem at this point, we're speaking about Hashem. All these amazing things about Hashem. But at this point, suddenly, it flips into Uvshirei David Avdecha, Nahalel Cha, Hashem Elokeinu. Bishvachot V'zimrot Nagadel Cha. The whole second half is suddenly just turning into now we're speaking directly to Hashem. It's an amazing thing. This very, very often happens. Like in the first paragraph of Aleinu, we're speaking about Hashem. And in the second paragraph of Aleinu, Al Kein Nikaveh Lecha. We're now speaking to Hashem. In the first, so let's play the game. Bika Hamazon, benching, after you eat bread, has 4 blessings. The first blessing, is it talking about Hashem or to Hashem? Hu noiten lechem lechol basar. He gives bread to all. So it's talking about Hashem, it's not talking to Hashem. The second bracha? Noideh lecha. Now it's talking to Hashem. The third? Rachem na Hashem Elokeinu al Yisrael amecha al Yerushalayim recha cha cha. It's talking to Hashem. And the last one? Hu heitiv, hu meitiv, hu yetiv. So the first bracha of Big Hamazon is speaking about Hashem. The second speaking to Hashem, the third speaking to Hashem, and the last one speaking about Hashem. You have to feel that difference. You have to, if you're having any consciousness in your tefillah, you would feel that very intensely. Let's say I'm speaking about the Rosh Hashiva now. You know what our Rosh Hashiva, Rav Ber Cohen, is? Imam Rosh Tzaddik, and he's sweet, and he's humble, and he's kind, and he's friendly, and he's knowledgeable. And then the Rosh Hashiva walks in now. I'd be like, Shalom Rosh Hashiva. And my whole consciousness would completely change. How I'm standing would change, and I'm speaking directly to him. So very often in our tefillah, the tefillah goes from speaking about Hashem to Hashem. But because people aren't really paying attention, they don't really notice that. Enke Elokeinu, Enke Adonenu, Enke Malkeinu, Enke Mashiachenu, Mikel Elokeinu, Mikel Nodel Elokeinu, Baruch Elokeinu, Atahu Elokeinu. That Atahu, that's a drop there. If I used to be a DJ. If I'm in a nightclub, it's just going to be Baruch Eloheinu. You got to feel that shift. So why do we do this, by the way? Because we have these two relationships with Hashem, Ahava and Yira. So Ahava and Yira means love and reverence, love and awe. Love is very close and personal, intimate. Reverence, not fear, but it's more like, whoa. You're like, so how we also speak about it, especially in the high holy days, is Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu, my father, is very close and intimate and warm and safe and secure and loving. Malkeinu, the king, is like, whoa. But you're still the king. Don't get too familiar. But remember, the king is your father, so he loves you. But whoa, he's the king. He's your father. He's the king. Ahava, Yira, Ahava. So there's the whole prayer book we're going to see in Ashrei. It's just about to get you these two perspectives on your relationship with Hashem. That you're his only son, who he loves unconditionally, but also he's the father, he's the king. So you have to notice that. Very important to notice when it changes. I've got one of my early sidors, I should do it. Every single ata and cha is highlighted. I just went through the whole sidor, and every time there's an ata or a cha, I highlighted it, just to make sure I was like tapping in. Yeah.
When you say like, for example, like Baruch Atah Hashem, you're speaking to Hashem, not
At the very beginning. So you say Baruch Atah Hashem, so we're saying, okay, this bracha is towards you, but if you actually read the words of the rest of that bracha, it's not talking to Hashem. Hu noitein lechem lechol basar. He gives bread to everyone. That's not talking to Hashem. That's talking about Hashem. So always the beginning of a bracha is that. All of our brachas. How about this?
right, exactly.
Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shakol nihiyeh bidvaro. What does that mean? Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe. Everything was made with His word. It's teaching you this lesson. That there's closeness and there's reverence. This is beautiful. It's called Ratzav Vashav. Coming close and intimate, but then getting some distance. So it's the flow. So yes, you're right. All of them begin you, but some of them end up who. You who. Who. Who is he? Me is who. He is me. She is. What is it? She is he. He is who. Who is he? Yeah, who am I? Me is. I am me. Me is who. Who is he? He is she. Who am I? Something like that. Nashchimcha. Malkeinu Elokeinu Yechid Chaya Elamim Melech Meshubach Umfoah Adai Ad Shemo Gadol. Basically, it's helping you tap into this place of immense reverence, awe, but then say Hashem's not so far and disconnected that we can't have an intimate relationship. Someone asked me last week, why do we wear a kippah? I said, because it's to show you that Hashem is above you. There's higher consciousness, but it's not so far above you that you can't palpably feel it resting on your head. So you can feel Hashem resting on you. But it is above you. It's a higher value, a higher consciousness, something you're looking up to. Creates humility. Yeah.
It's more of a general question about davening. So we say like when we're davening, it's like Le'it Palel, which is self-reflect. Like I guess literal translation.
Le'it Palel has three meanings: to connect to yourself, to evaluate yourself, and to envision.
It feels like most of davening more so like praising Hashem, saying words. Is there prescribed areas of davening that we're meant to actually take to like have a personal self-reflection?
All of it.
But how do we?
These are the original questions we answered at the beginning of the course. You're going to go on YouTube, Living in Tune, Rabbi Dov Ber, and look up, but very quickly. Two types of davening, two types of tefillah. One is personal prayer. Any time of the day, whatever you feel like saying, from your heart in English. Then we have the formal prayer, and the formal prayer is still to have an intimate relationship with Hashem, but it doesn't make sense, because how can I say words that someone told me to say at specific times, and that be personal? So you make it personal by understanding what you're saying, why you're saying it. But in general, when you're praising Hashem, it's not because Hashem needs praise, it's because you need wonder. And when you're asking for things, it's not that Hashem doesn't know what you need, it's because you need to clarify what your values are. And when you're thanking Hashem, it's not because Hashem needs thanks, it's because you have to start living with gratitude. So once you actually learn what you're saying and why you're saying it, then it does become personal. Until you know that, it's like, okay, I'm reading these words. That's why ultimately we say when you daven the Shemona Esrei, you should have your eyes closed. Because obviously you need to know it to have your eyes closed, but it means I'm not reading it now. I'm now trying to say it I'm saying the words from my heart. There are loads of classes on this. Yeah.
What did you say was called on YouTube, sorry?
Living in Tune, Rav Dov Ber Cohen, YouTube. So I think we're in number 18 or something of the series at this point. So the whole beginning of the series answered that question, 10 classes on how it even makes sense to have a prayer book.
I'll go back and
That's right. Okay, Hashem.